Alright guys, today we're going to be doing a review of Stella Artois non-alcoholic beer, and we're going to do a comparison with what my father would call the worst non-alcoholic beer he's ever had. Big Drop Brewing Company Galactic Extra Dark non-alcoholic beer. Now he says that this is the worst, but he doesn't really like beer, so that opinion may not be valid. So we're going to find that out today. We're going to be comparing these two drinks together to see what really is the best one. And we're also going to see how bad this truly is, because he says that this is one of the worst ones he's ever had. So today we're going to be trying both of these, and yeah, I hope we have a good time doing it. All right, so first we're going to talk about the Stella Artois beer here, and then we're going to talk about the Big Drop Brewing Company Galactic Extra Dark right after that. But first, let's talk about the Stella Artois alcohol-free beer. So from what I do know about the Stella Artois company, I do know that it is a more bougie, high-end brand of beer, less of a Bud Light and more of a Michel or Ultra. I don't really know the name. I'm not really much of a beer drinker for standard beers, but I would know it's more of like a bougier brand, you know, more high-end, definitely less of a Bud Light and more of like a Presidente or an Ultra. Definitely not like your Coors or whatever, you know? So this is definitely more of a fancier kind of thing, and you can kind of tell from the bottle. I've never seen like a wrap on the top of a bottle before like this. This is a little fancy. It's like a whole experience of like how to unwrap it and stuff. I think it has a tear line at the top here, if you can kind of see it, where we're gonna tear the top and then peel the top off. So it's definitely looking a lot more bougie and high-end than the other ones that we've tried on this channel, like the IPA and the Corona. This definitely looks a lot bougier than both of those combined. It's a very nice looking beer. It seems that this is also kind of a legacy brand. It's been around for a while, so it has a deep-rooted history. And yeah, this is a 0%, fully 0% non-alcoholic beer. So this is more akin to your Heinekens and Peronis, which are no alcohol, period. It's basically a crappy soda. While from what little I read from this can, contains less than 0.5% alcohol, read right here. So this is more akin to our Corona and our, what's the other one that I had? Yeah, I guess it's just a Corona for now. So I'm quite interested to try this out and see how it is. From what I know, at least my opinion that I have going into this, my expectations is that this is probably not gonna be as good as a Corona, but I think because of the quality of the brand, I think it's definitely gonna beat a Heineken or an IPA. I think that because it is 0%, I think it's gonna have an artificial bitter taste that I'm not really a big fan of. Kind of like I talked about in the last video about the Corona versus the juice, versus the Peroni or the Heineken. So I think that this is probably gonna have that, but I think it's not gonna be as bad due to the quality of the brand, and also from what my father said, this was a more expensive product to purchase. Now for this Big Drop Brewing Company, what are my expectations? Well, I know nothing about this company, you know? At least you would hear about Stella Artois from word of mouth kind of conversation. The kitten is playing right now. Girly, shh, shh. There we go. She's just having fun, you know, running around the house. But I don't know anything about this company. I haven't heard of a legacy of this company. It's not iconic like a Corona or a Heineken or Stella Artois or a Coors Light, you know? I've never heard of a Big Drop Brewing Company. My dad said he just found this in the back of Total Wine. So this, and he also said this was the cheapest one they had to offer. $8 for a 6-pack, while this, I think he said it was $13 for a 6-pack. So definitely a big price discrepancy, and I think that's going to be telling of the quality of this drink. So I'm a little worried for that, but it's okay, we're gonna try it anyways. All right, so now we are going to go over the packaging of both the Big Drop Brewing and the Stella Artois, starting with the Stella Artois. So as I said previously, it definitely has a very bougie, high-end look in it. It's got a wrap on the top, kind of showing that this is more of a premium beverage that we're gonna be having. It says brewed with all malt, so maybe it's more of a natural kind of drink with less stuff in it, kind of like maybe like, I don't know, Coors Light's adding some stuff to their beer to make it kind of a tainted malt beer taste. So it's more of a natural beer kind of flavor. Stella Artois, this is definitely French because Artois, if you were reading this like a American, it would be Stella Artois. So definitely a French brand for sure. 11.2 fluid ounces, alcohol-free malt beverage with natural flavor, so it's more of a natural thing, just like I mentioned before. So I kind of got that on the needle's head. Brewed in the USA. Stella Artois, St. Louis, MO. I'm not really doing good on my states, so I don't really remember that. 59 calories. So again, we're seeing this is 1 calorie less than the Corona, so that's got 1 point up on that. So I guess that's another thing I was gonna say. A lot of these non-alcoholic beers are a lot less calories. So I think it's definitely for the type of person that wants to drink beer and a lot of it, but not get the alcohol or the calories, because this is, if I'm not mistaken, a lot less calories than a standard beer. No protein, no fat, well, very low amount of protein, low carbs as well. Yeah, so honestly, I think also just with the design of this here, this is very fancy, you know? Your Coronas, they ain't got nothing like this. It's got like a bugle here. I know 1366. I don't really know what that means. Maybe it's the year that this company, yeah, but the company was not founded in 1366, but maybe it's like a family heritage kind of thing, or like, maybe it's like a, honestly, I really don't know, but it makes it sound really fancy, that's for sure. I should have done a little more research before I started the video. But yeah, you just got these gold emblems on the side, like it's a film award, surrounding the red with white text Stella Artois. Very, very fancy bottle. And again, we can even look at the top here. It looks like it's supposed to be served in a glass, so that's how fancy this is. I know if you buy a Guinness, it's supposed to be served in a glass, and that's because it is such a bougie brand that it shouldn't be served in a can. And it'll come in a can, but then you pour it into a glass because it's so bougie. So going in, that changed my expectations, just seeing some of these rather interesting and unique designs on the bottle. This will definitely be a lot better than the Heineken, because I think the quality of it with the natural flavors, I think is really gonna add, and it might put it on par with the Corona or even better. My only worry is just it being totally alcohol-free. I think with those having to, now it doesn't have any artificial flavoring in it, so maybe they're not gonna fake a bitterness of alcohol. I'm not too sure, so we're gonna see about that. And now for the packaging of the Big Drop Brewing Company, Galactic Extra Dark. Honestly, it's kind of more modern. This is definitely going for a legacy style look for it, while this is definitely trying to go for a more modern take, especially with it being in a can. But it being in a can, honestly, is kind of putting me off a little bit and making me already think off the bat that this is not going to be as quality as the Stella Artois. This is in a nice fancy bottle, and this is just in a can. You know what else goes in can? Like soda and pop and stuff like that. So I don't know. This is not very telling. I think it's got a very simplistic design with just a black background and then the purple drop. I think that's pretty cool. I like the color scheme. Purple's a nice color. I don't know if it works specifically for beer though. I feel like beer should be connected with a legacy or feel more, I don't know, like rough and American and man, you know? Like look at a bottle of Bud Light, you know? It's not connected to a legacy like Stella Artois is, but it definitely has that beer look. You know, it's in a glass bottle. It's got like an iconic design. It's got some simple, and it's good for like a blue collar American kind of look, you know? While this feels a lot more like a hippie kind of city college student kind of drink. Honestly, this looks a lot more like a seltzer than a beer in my opinion. But yeah, it is a non-alcoholic malt beverage, contains less than 0.5% of alcohol per volume. And according to the can, it has a World Beer Awards for World's Best Style winner. Style. So maybe they really like the can. I don't know if that entails anything about the flavor of it though. When I was talking to this about my dad, the joke that I kind of made with him was, I think it won style because that's the only thing it could have won. It lost in flavor and quality and all that other stuff. And so that's kind of the joke I was making there, but we're gonna find out today. Kind of going over more of the packaging here. Big Drop Brewing Company, brewed in the USA, Galactic Extra Dark, and it kind of has a scale from alien invasion to rocket to the moon. I don't know if you can see that. And we're towards the rocket to the moon. It's 36 IBU and it's 110 calories. So this is a lot higher in calories than this is. So this is gonna be a lot. What else? Hops, East Kent Goldings. Forget the notion. This is a style that has had its day. Instead, think of it as a honeycomb covered in chocolate because that's exactly what it tastes like. Rich, uncrutchous, and an absolutely decadent treat, stored chilled. So they're trying to get our hopes up with the story. So it has a chocolate taste with it. Chocolate and beer, I don't know if that goes together personally, so I'm a little skeptical of that. Brewed and packaged by Big Drop Brewing in Illinois. I don't know. It's not very telling. I think trying to put a chocolatey flavor in a beer is going to come out real bad. And honestly, that might explain why he really didn't like it. Chocolate and beer, I don't think they mix. Honestly, if they were trying to make a seltzer, that would be a lot more wise, but this ain't going to do it. So, continuing on into the bottle, we have just the nutritional facts here with the calories, carbs. This is high in carbs and high in calories. So honestly, this as a deal for someone who's trying to drink more and not get the beer or the calories, this is not the way to go. It is definitely cheaper though, I will say. And the ingredients is water, barley malt, lactose. Oh, it has, this has milk in it. What? That's nasty. Oats, rye, cacao nibs, hops, and yeast. Why does it have milk in it? That's disgusting. Ugh. Yeah, this is not going to be good. I can already tell that this is not going to be good. So I guess this isn't really a review. This is just a can I survive the Big Drop Brewing Company Galactic Extra Dark? And can I enjoy a Stella Artois? So now I think it's time, without further ado, to get into the consumption and taste test of these drinks. So let's start with something good. I want to be happy before the fall. Start with the good and then we'll go to the bad. So in order to peel it open, I'm gonna try peeling along the line. I'm not doing a very good job. Ugh. Oh, this is not going well at all. Oh, crap. Yeah, this is not going good at all. I will have to be frank with you guys. Not gonna lie, this is not going good. Oh, there we go. We got a good peel here. There we go. There we go. We recovered. No issue here. Not at all. There's no issue. We have fully recovered from our terrible peel. I got a bottle opener right here. And we're gonna give this, look at that bottle top. That looks really cool. Brewed in the USA under strict supervision from the brewmasters from Leuven, Belgium for an uncompromising quality. Belgium. Okay, maybe I was wrong. All right. Popping the top off. Starting with a smell test. Smells like beer, but definitely smells like a higher end kind of beer. I'm really tasting the Stella Artois. Maybe it's a placebo just because I've been hyping up this whole time. Very interesting. It's also runny at the top too. It would show you a little bit more, but I can't really. It's not bubbling like the other drinks were, but maybe if I knock it, it will. So I think without further ado, let's take a sip and see how the Stella Artois non-alcoholic 0% alcohol beer really is. Let's see how it is, guys. It's actually brewing up just like a beer would. I haven't eaten anything in a while, so my palate is clean and ready to go. Starting off the bat, it's not very strong. I'm definitely keeping a beer taste in my mouth. I can taste it in the back of my throat still, but it's not overwhelming. It's very, very lax. It's also not foaming up, seriously. Yeah, no foam. Excuse me. Quality-wise, I really don't know what to say yet. I'd say, while it doesn't taste bad, it doesn't really have a super redeeming quality about it. It's a super light beverage, Now, they're all light because they don't have any alcohol in them. But you can definitely taste the difference between a 4% beer and a 5% beer. You can definitely taste the difference there. This tastes like a very light beer from the beers I've had with family, I haven't had much personally. But just kind of coming off the bat, it's not really coming in kicking, you know? Like with the Corona, you definitely taste it and it's a good taste, but you also feel that bitterness. That bitterness is like almost gone. It feels like a soda with an aftertaste that's kind of beery. This is really good. Yeah, this is, excuse me. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing that really makes it stick out. I think that's a really good way to call it. There's nothing about it that really makes it kick and stick out, but there's nothing super offensive about it. I think it's got really nothing going against it, you know? Like the Juicy IPA, it just didn't really taste like a beer, and it just wasn't really great. While like the Corona, like it was good, it had good flavor, but it still had some bitterness to it. Kind of like a beer bitterness. And yes, you don't really want a bitter drink, but when you're having a beer, you kind of also want some bitterness. So, I don't know. But honestly, it does have a little, very minute amount. Definitely a lot less than Heineken or even the Corona. And I think that's because there's no artificial bitterness being put in. So it's very light. There's no really taste of alcohol, but you still taste the malt beverage. So I think it's what it is it's what it is as it's advertised. You know, it is a malt beverage with natural flavoring with no alcohol. It really does do that. I think it does a really good job at that. But I don't think it really has a lasting impact on the overall drinking experience of the beer. It doesn't really taste super beery. It doesn't have the bitterness of a beer. And I know in the last video I was complaining about the bitterness, but honestly, I want some more with this. I really want some more bitterness with the Stella Artois beer. I think I'm going to enjoy going through these. They're very good. They're nice. I also don't feel anything in my stomach. The Coronas, after one, I do get a bit of a stomach ache from them. I'm not really getting that with this, and I've kind of gone through half the bottle so far. So I'm very happy with this, and it's going to be up there with my favorites. But I think it doesn't beat the Corona, which is my current favorite right now, because it doesn't have that little kick that the Corona has. Also, overall, I think Corona has a little more flavor to offer, while this is lighter on flavor in general. You know, we've been talking about bitterness, but now I'm going to talk about the flavor of it overall, because beer does have flavor. That's how it is. It's a beverage. It's a malt beverage that has a malty flavor. And I think this is lacking some of that as compared to the other ones that we've had. I think that the Corona does a better job at showing that flavor, while this, not so much, because it's no alcohol, malt, natural. It doesn't have any artificial put in. But because of that, I think it's also lacking in the flavor of a beer, because it's just a malt beverage without any alcohol in it. So I think once you kick out its legs of the alcohol, it loses a lot of flavor overall. So I think it's very good. It's honestly going to be one of my favorites from now on. I feel fancy just drinking and sitting here. It just feels like a very bougie experience, but it is lacking in that flavor, and it doesn't really feel super much like a beer. It's not a seltzer, 100% not a seltzer, but it doesn't really have a lot of beer tang and beer flavor. It's a very good light beer. I think it's a very good light beer, and if you're looking for a light non-alcoholic beer, you've got my vote for Stella Artois right here. I think it is very good at that, but personally, I do like something that's not as light as this for my non-alcoholic beers. So if you want something that's a little heavier, not as light, I would go towards the Corona. But if you want something light, this is your one to try. Now, back to the other part of this video, the Big Drop Brewing Company Galactic Extra Dark beer right here. I am not excited to try this. It is already opened from my father because I'm not opening another one. He just had a sip and put it in the fridge. So it's probably not as fresh in like the carbonation of it and stuff like that, but that's not what we're really looking for, are we? So I think it's time to try it. From what we can see from the top though, it's definitely got a more dark look to it. If you even see just the splashes of it, it's like brown like chocolate, just like it said on the bottle. So I'm a little worried, but without further ado, let's give a try of the Big Drop Brewing Company Galactic Extra Dark Chocolate beer. Ugh. from the first sip, I'm not tasting any carbonation, but that's because it's been sitting all night, so no issue with that. There definitely would probably be more carbonation because this can is pretty carbonated from trying to squeeze it. This one is not, so I know we're missing out on that, and that's okay. And that might be hindering some of the taste test here, but honestly, I'm not too upset about that. If I let the Stella Artois sit out and it wasn't as carbonated, it would still probably beat this. And I haven't even gotten into talking about the flavor, but I'm just saying that I think the carbonation of a beer isn't really what makes it. What makes a beer is its bitterness and its flavor. Okay, the carbonation is great, but I don't think it'll make or break a beer. You know what I'm saying? If you leave it out, it won't be as good, of course, but it's not really gonna change the flavor of it, you know? Okay. It's not as terrible as I thought it would be, but I'm gonna go over a couple things. Number one, the flavor is a lot more muted than I thought it would be. I thought it was Galactic Extra Dark. You got me signing up for something that might be a little bit more strong, but honestly, it's not coming off very strong at all. It definitely does have that milk and chocolatey flavor in there, and it's not good. It does not pair well with the malt beverage. I do not know what they were thinking, trying to mix a chocolate milk with a beer, but they did that, and the outcome of it is not as terrible as you would expect, but it's still bad. It's still not good. I will say, it's not good. Yeah, no, this is not it. It's not as awful as I thought it would be, so I'm gonna give it points for that. I'm gonna say, good job for that, you know, here's your star. But, and it definitely has some style, trying to do something that most people wouldn't try to do with a drink like this. So I think maybe winning the World Beer Awards style winner, I mean, the bottle looks cool, and it's definitely got some style, trying to do something that hasn't been done before. It's kind of like a Vogue kind of first kind of thing, you know, really paving the way for a new type of drink. I wouldn't even call this a seltzer. I would call this a beer, Christmassy hybrid chocolate cacao drink. It's not a seltzer, it's not a beer, it's confused and lost, just as I am trying to taste it. And it's not good. It's not great. It's really not great. I can already feel it in my gut too. It's not doing good. And I'm also lactose intolerant, so the milk and chocolate also isn't doing good down there. So I will say this Big Drop Brewing Galactic Extra Dark isn't as terrible as I thought it would be. So let's give it points for that, but it is still not good. It's trying to do something new, and I have to respect it for that. You know, it's trying to innovate and do something interesting, but logically, let's be honest, beer and chocolate milk should not be mixed. I think sticking to something that worked, kind of like the legacy of a Stella Artois, is the better way to go than trying to innovate with something like this, okay? Innovating with something like this is just not it. I feel like beer is such a global, standardized kind of, I guess I want to say it has a legacy, you know? And if you try and change the legacy of that, it's not gonna go well, you know? It's like changing the rules of football today, you know? Everyone likes football the way it is. Why would you change it? You know, it's already perfect the way it is. Don't change it. Or it might, yeah, it has some imperfections, but changing how it is in general would do a lot more bad than it would do good. So while I think it is trying to do something interesting here, definitely has style in both the bottle and what it's trying to do, I think it kind of fails at making something that is very enjoyable. It's not a very good drink, I will be honest. So I have to say, I'm not as disappointed, but I'm still disappointed in the Big Drop Brewing Company Galactic Extra Dark drink. And yeah, it really wasn't that great. And I have to say, I'm glad that I included this in the video, because this is very good, I will say. I know I did say that it was lacking in some flavor, but as a drink, it's pretty good, you know? Now that I'm kind of coming back from this, it really does have a lot more beer flavor than I gave it in my first review of it, in my initial review of it. I said it wasn't as beery. It is. It's just a lot lighter than the Corona and Heineken are. Like I said, it's kind of like a light beer. And I think it's really good at that. I think it's the first non-alcoholic light beer that I've had, and it does a very good job at that, and it's very good. So I have to say, this definitely beats the Big Drop Brewing Company. Stella Artois definitely beats the Galactic Extra Dark. So that is it for today, folks. I guess if we're gonna walk away with anything we learned today, if you want something that is a non-alcoholic light beer, this is my vote right here. Stella Artois, non-alcoholic. I think it is very good. I think it does a good job at being a light beer. But if you're looking for something a little more harder, a little less light, and more of a standard beer, then this might not be the best bet for you. You'll enjoy it, but you'll still be craving a little bit more, you know? And then what we learned from this is that innovating in the beer world, especially with non-alcoholic beer, maybe isn't the best place to do it. Now, it still has less than 0.5%, so I was expecting a bit of an alcohol taste, and honestly, I'm not tasting it, but I'm worried that the deeper I get into the streak, more at the bottom, I'll start tasting it, and it won't be good. So what we learned from Big Drop Brewing Company is that trying to innovate with chocolate milk and beer is not the way to go. Definitely has style, definitely has a place in the market. Maybe someone really likes chocolate milk or something, or really wants to up their game and try something unique. This is definitely something unique to try. But personally, I did not enjoy it. And to be frank and not to be rude, but I can't really find a lot of people enjoying that. It's not like horribly offensive, it's just not good. So that's my review for today. I hope you guys have a good one, and yeah, have a good day, guys. See you later.